What sellers need to know before listing their house if they are over $600,000, especially if they're closer to that 800,000 to $1 million price point. So you hear sellers always want the most out of their houses, right? Absolutely. Here's the difference if you are above a $600,000 price point with your home. You're looking at a whole different demographic of buyer, right? They're getting approved for what's called a jumbo loan. It's a whole different financing type. It's not just as easy to get approved for a jumbo loan. And you got a whole different caliber of buyer. They're way more picky about small things. So I'm going to give you an example on a $900,000 house that I just, really, we're closing tomorrow. Beautiful home, just gorgeous. They listed really high to begin with, which is not really a good strategy for someone that's already in that jumbo market, especially because your buyer pool is much smaller. With your buyer pool being much smaller, your pricing needs to also strategically represent that. If you're below 500,000, your days on market month supply right now in the Coweta County area, and we're in February of 2026, we're looking at like 3 to 5 months, depending on what price point you are. But I'm just gonna do a whole of below 500,000. But when you go above 600K and get closer to the $1 million mark, your month supply of inventory is like 12 months. That buyer pool is much smaller, and that means there's a lot more ability for negotiating. That also means that the condition of the home really, really, really matters. You can't get away with cutting corners on updates. For instance, this property, they were putting in the countertops. Beautiful kitchen. I mean, double islands. The countertops and the quartz went all the way around. Gorgeous four-sided brick home. Well, when their countertop people put in the countertops, they just messed up the whole side of the wall. No one ever went back and looked behind them to check to see their work that they had completed. So when that buyer came in, they wanted all that fixed. That's another dollar amount that has to be taken care of after that that kitchen was completely redone. It was gorgeous, absolutely stunning. Their contractor missed things like kick plates below the cabinets. I mean, really simple stuff, right? Half of the carbon monoxide detectors weren't even in the house. This is a safety issue. The appraiser is definitely going to get this. Jumbo loans, the lenders are really picky too. So that's something that, that appraiser grabbed, and it's going to go back into underwriting every time we have to go fix something else. So if we're getting our house ready, we're over $600,000, we already know we are going to be sitting on the market. We know that. We have to be prepared for that budget wise. So are we going to go ahead and purchase before we sell? Are we in that financial position to where we don't need to pull the equity out of our property to go buy the next house? A lot of people that are selling with me that are over that $600,000 price point, they're able to go ahead and move on. So the house is usually left vacant. And when a house is vacant, small stuff looks very big. We don't have furniture covering things. Everything from carpet to the way the house is vacuumed, and the way it looks on the picture. So a good cleaner that I bring in is really important. But when we're dealing with a buyer that has the ability to purchase, and you've already moved away, you've already went on to your next home, right? This other house may not seem as important to stay focused in on, but for me to have the ability to get you the most money back on your one of your biggest investments, is for us to make sure we're looking at those small things. We need to get a pre-listing inspection. We need to make sure that for instance, $900,000 house, it has 3 HVAC units, 3 furnaces, 3 of everything, right? Those components are $20,000 roughly to replace. So when you're looking at 3 of them, your buyer comes in, they get an inspection, they're going to ask you for stuff. This one furnace had switches that weren't even operating properly, and whoever it was that did the work, it wasn't the homeowner, right? It was whoever did the work for them at one time, did something with the switch weird. And so we had to get someone to come in to fix that. That delayed closing for the seller. Here is why that is really important, is because every time we delay closing for you as the seller, your holdover costs are costing you more money, right? What it's costing you to keep the property on the market, which is electric, taxes, fees, tangible taxes, water, HOA dues, interest on the mortgage, if there is a mortgage. Did you pull money out of that house to buy the next house without having to close that house? I mean, there are holdover costs. So these things that can affect a buyer from closing on time are going to end up costing you more money. And for any of you that are selling homes that are $600,000 and above, we're working in that jumbo market, right? And lending wise, you've probably purchased in that jumbo market as well because you are selling unless you're downsizing. All of those numbers end up costing you way more the longer we stay on market. So my objective is always to make you more money. It's never to like sell for the least amount of money. It's always to make you the most money in the market that we are in. Remember, that's very important. Not the market we were, not the market that was, it or may be. It's the market that we are in today. The longer I keep the house on the market, the longer it's going to take to close that buyer because they're going to negotiate harder with you. Also, the longer that we are on market, the comps change, the numbers change. Real estate comes in 90-day cycles. 90-day cycles means that I'm watching what the numbers are changing to. Why are they changing? What property closed? So if I'm already on the month supply on the initial conversation with you, we're already looking at that, then I know that we're fighting the month supply as well when we're talking about other properties, right? So when I'm looking at those numbers are really important to me. Those numbers are showing me if we got to go lower than even I think we do. I don't want to ever do that, ever. But it's important as a realtor for me to tell you what is happening on the market today, not what's happening 6 months ago. So if we're getting ready to sell my phone just keeps blowing up today. If we're getting ready to sell a $600,000 house, there's so much stuff that we have to look at. There's so much stuff, including the inventory, that we need to be paying attention to. So listen, if you're in a jumbo loan, you're buying in a jumbo loan, call me. You're selling anything over $600,000, call me. Let's look at the data. Let's look at the numbers. Let's look at what our supply is going to be, because remember, if we're a higher end buyer slash seller, we have a lot of inventory out there and it's going to take longer to sell. So our strategy is not just about presenting it to the best of the ability. There's so many other areas. And who I know in my database is really important. The agents that I'm working with on a daily basis, that's also important. Who do I already know that's already looking for a home just like yours that you're getting ready to sell? So anyways, we're talking about $600,000 and above. I'd love to talk with you a little bit more. Take a look at some of my listing videos that are out there. You can see them on my YouTube page. I'd love to bring in some of my best photographers to highlight one of the best assets of your life. So anyways, my name's Sheree Macaroni. My cell phone number is 229-563-3116. I would love to talk with you more about your asset and your home. Other than that, watch some more of my videos. Like them, share them, comment on them. Give me some love. I love to give some love back to you. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks for watching.